As I spoke at the podium, campaigning on my run, the crowd was pumping me up. Beautiful crowd. Things were going so well before it turned into hell.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Trump walked off stage. He walked off stage at a rally with him and Vance. Shout out to everybody watching. Drop your comments down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. We're going to jump right into it. Why did Trump walk off stage? He walked off stage because it was incredibly hot and somebody needed some support. And you're going to watch this clip and you're going to see exactly why this is what we need in America. Roll the clip.
But the worst is that a doctor, please. It is very hot here, I notice. Take your time, doctor. Take your time. Thank you. Yeah. Take your time, please.
You saw there, the lady was passing out because it was hot, and they built a thing for Trump so he can speak at the podium, a bulletproof thing. And the lady was hot, and he walks out of the protective guard to check on the lady to give her a hug. I got the goosebumps. I got the confirmation bumps, because when have we seen that? When have we seen that style of humanity from the DNC, from anybody from the DNC? I haven't personally seen it. Drop your comments down below. Let me know if you have seen it. This right here, for him to walk out of the podium that they built for him to check on this lady, to possibly be exposed for another potential threat. Come on. It's amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing. We're going to jump into some of the highlights from the Trump and Vance rally. This is a funny clip from the rally itself. And you can see here that they built the barricade right here. They built this barricade right here, and he walked out of the barricade. He walked out. As you can see, Donald Trump's right here. He walked out of the barricade to give that lady a hug and to check on her. Another reason why Trump is the man.
Just so you know, these are great people, but I want to get them the hell off the stage, because I guarantee they didn't have this in mind when they built this. Thank goodness Mark lost a lot of weight over the last couple of months. You did, actually. Well, I want to thank you all very much. You are the reason we're able to be here, and that you have a safe state and a great state. Thank you all very much. Thank you. That's some group of people for endorsements too.
Trump goes on to talk about the military. He goes on to talk about the military. We're going to jump into a couple highlights of him talking about the military at the Trump Vance rally.
Most urgent priorities will be to quickly rebuild the readiness and spirit of the United States Armed Forces. And we had it built. We rebuilt it. We rebuilt the whole military, but it was decimated under this group of stupid people. You know, we had so much. When I came in, we had no ammunition. Did you know that? Remember, I used to talk about it. And I said, if it's true, which it was, why would you say that? We had people on television. Well, the United States has no ammunition. You know, some things you just keep to yourself, right? Do you remember I used to, from North Carolina, do you remember I used to talk about that all the time? Those are my best witnesses, those ladies. There's about 40 of them. They're all over the place. And they're always perfectly coiffed and perfectly dressed. They're beautiful and they're great. But no, I used to talk all the time. If you have no bullets, I can ask this group of leaders, you don't talk about it, but you get the bullets really fast, right?
Correct.
So within a year, I had so much that our warehouses were stocked to the gills. We never had so much. I bought so much, missiles, everything. I rebuilt our military, but that's been all dissipated now again because we give it away to everybody and for nothing. I mean, they don't do anything for us. We don't get anything. We don't even get a pledge that we'll pay you back someday if we have the money. How about that?
Trump goes on to talk about, he addresses this. This was part of his opening. He addresses the Bureau of Labor Statistics, admitting that 118,000 jobs that Kamala Harris and the Biden administration claimed to have created actually did not exist.
Before we begin, I want to address the massive scandal around the revised job numbers that were just announced this morning, a little while ago, just before I came up. I got to see them. And it really isn't a revision. It's a total lie. Total lie. There's never been any revision like this. They wanted it to come out after the election, but somehow it got leaked. It got leaked. Government leaks too. The Harris-Biden administration has been caught fraudulently manipulating job statistics to hide the true extent of the economic ruin that they've inflicted on America. The new data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the administration padded the numbers with an extra, listen to this one, 818,000 jobs that don't exist. So they said they existed, and they never did exist. They built them up so that they could say what a wonderful job they're doing. No, we've never had numbers like this.
I did a video on that earlier. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on that. We already knew about that. We already knew that they were padding. He continues to drop in and call those jobs, some of those jobs, bounce back jobs or gig jobs.
Remember this, the numbers sound good because they're called bounce back jobs. We had a pandemic. People were laid off. And then as soon, and this is common for ages, when a pandemic goes, you have bounce back. The businesses, and had we not done what we did with money, probably some of you benefited, but we would have been in a 1929 style depression. We did it just right. The problem is they came in, they no longer needed money. We gave them a country that was fixed, and more people died during Biden. Think of that, than died during us from COVID. Many more people died during them. But think of this, we gave them a country and they blew it.
Then he goes on to say, he talks about the DNC over the past couple nights. The DNC mentioned Trump's name several times throughout the DNC regarding particular accusations. The economy was mentioned less than 10 or 8 times, I believe it was. And the border was hardly mentioned at all.
They mentioned my name, I think, 271 times. They mentioned the economy like 12 times. They mentioned the border, maybe none. They don't talk about the border. Our great border czar doesn't talk about the border. but they mentioned me more than any other category. I'm now a category. They had me down today as a category. That's all they talk about. Trump. We've driven them crazy. They have Trump derangement syndrome. They mentioned my name, I think, 207.
Then he drops in and talks about the peace in Europe. Talks about the peace in Europe. Let's jump into that.
Peace in Europe has been shattered by the largest European land war since the fall of Nazi Germany. This is the largest war there's been, and this war is going to escalate and escalate. When, if, but when. I have to always say if, because they cheat. I would say when if they didn't cheat, but they cheat. That's the one thing. They're great at cheating in elections. If we win, I'll get that thing settled before I take the office. I'll get it settled as president-elect. I'll get that war stopped. With Russia, yeah, we'll get that stopped. Ukraine and Russia, we're going to get it stopped, and quickly. It'll be done before I get to office. It would not have happened if I was president. It wasn't going to happen in the Middle East. The Jewish people have suffered the worst atrocities and deadliest attacks since the Holocaust. There's no question about that. The United States has been forced to abandon more embassies under Comrade Kamala than at any time in our history. We're running out. It's not like we're leaving. We're being run out of these embassies that cost us hundreds of millions of dollars to build. You got to see these embassies in the middle of nowhere in a country you've never even heard of. They spent $900 million to build an embassy. The whole thing is crazy. The world is on fire, and Kamala and Biden have marched us to the brink of World War III.
Absolutely. He talks about Biden's anger speech over at the DNC.
Biden is really angry. He's very angry. He was so angry the other night, he's like seething. You ever see a guy make a speech? It's such anger and so uncomfortable, just shouting.
Oh, man. He talks about the moment that he, at the moment that he becomes is in office, just like he was last time. He's going to relinquish some of the wars and start closing the borders.
Starting the moment I lift my hand from the Bible after taking the oath of office, I will move to restore America to maximum strength and return the world to peace. We're going to return the world to peace.
And I believe him. I personally believe him, because under the Trump administration, we had a very good economy. He goes on to continue to talk about service members in the military, and then the refusal of those particular individuals in the military that refused to take the C-19 shot. Some of those folks had to relinquish their positions, and I personally knew some of those folks that had to relinquish some of their roles in the military because they did not want to take the COVID-19 shot.
Kamala and Crooked Joe purged 8,000 service members from our military for refusing their.
How many of you guys or I know some of you guys are military members, but how many of you guys know of military members that had to relinquish or retire early or whatever the scenario was because they did not want to take the C-19 shot? I actually know somebody that was dismissed from their role in the military, and then now they're eligible to get it back, but through a lot of scrutiny. And this person is going back, and I asked him why he's going back, because the way that he had to exit was just, it was horrendous. They discriminated him and kind of shoved him out. Let me know what you guys, if you know of anybody that had experienced the same situation.
COVID vaccine mandate, they refused to do it. We didn't want a mandate. The mandate, you just can't do that. I will rehire every patriot who was fired from the military with an apology and with back pay. They will get their back pay and an apology from our government.
Yeah, they didn't get the back pay. They didn't get the back pay. They were eligible for rehire. Trump goes on to continue to talk about Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's morality with the military and their retention crisis that's going on in the military, because not a lot of people want to serve at the moment.
Thanks to Comrade Kamala and Joe Biden, morale in our military is now so low that almost every single branch is suffering a major recruitment and retention crisis. You know that. Upon taking office, I will begin the largest peacetime recruitment drive in the history of the armed forces. We have to fill our armed forces with great people, but they don't have spirit now. There's no spirit. Used to bring other soldiers would bring their friends in. Now that doesn't happen. Almost never happens. The sense of spirit, pride, and prestige will soon come roaring back and reach levels never seen before. We're going to make it so hot that I'm going to want to resign and join the military.
He goes on to talk about the social justice seminar in the particular in military branches.
If you want to have a sex change or a social justice seminar, then you can do it somewhere else, but you're not going to do it in the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Space Force, or the United States Marines. Sorry. You're not going to do it there. The military brass that led these absurd and insulting initiatives will likewise be removed, and they will no longer be in command. They're going to be gone so fast.
What do you guys think about that? Drop your comments down below. Let me know. And then he goes on to talk about holding Joe and the Biden and Harris administration responsible for the way that we pulled out of Afghanistan. I spoke to a lot of military members. I have a lot of military friends. Those of you that don't know, my grandfather was in the military. My father was as well. And I spoke to a lot of friends about how we pulled out of the military, and a lot of them were disappointed on the way that we pulled out of the military. What are your guys' thoughts on how we pulled out of of Afghanistan? Let me know your thoughts.
But the voters will hold Kamala and Joe accountable for this November when I take office, and they're going to be held accountable for what they've done to this country. Right? Thank you. I will ask for the resignations of every single senior military official who touched the Afghanistan disaster. I want their resignations immediately. And I want them on the desk in the Oval Office, the Resolute desk. I want them on at 12 o'clock, Inauguration Day, everybody involved with that disaster. When you have a disaster so stupid as that caused us such problems, you don't know what that's done to the reputation of our country, the Afghanistan disaster. This house cleaning will be a signal to the entire world and America military and everybody else. They want people to be held accountable for failure and incompetence. And it's just not acceptable that something like that could happen.
Oh, and before I continue, I just wanted to give a shout out to the individual that created the intro video for this particular video. You can find him on TikTok. It is Jokes on Wokes. Please give him some love. You can find him on TikTok and YouTube. So shout out to Jokes on Wokes. I'll place a full link for the intro video down below as well. Before I forget, before we get too far, I think we're already a little too far along in this video, but just shout out to Jokes on Wokes. And Trump goes on to talk about how he defeated ISIS, which was a huge thing when he was in office.
We defeated ISIS. We killed the world's top terrorists. We secured our borders. We achieved energy independence. We stood up to China. We protected Israel. We made peace in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords, and more. We did things like nobody ever heard of, and we brought our troops mostly back home. We didn't start any wars for 79 years it was before. We didn't start wars, 79, 80 years.
Then I'm going to jump into, because JD Vance has been on fire. How many of you guys think JD Vance has been on fire? He has been taking heat from the press, from the media, and he has just been coming in hot. So is Trump, but I am really, really impressed with JD.
I will admit it is hard to make sense of Kamala Harris's foreign policy, especially when she explains it like a third grader who didn't study for a class presentation.
I got to rewind that real quick.
Explains it like a third, especially when she explains it like a third grader who didn't study for a class presentation.
Oh, man. JD goes on to continue to talk about Tim Walz regarding the stolen valor and the continuous kind of, Tim Walz has just been hitting him with just bull crap, man.
Now, Kamala Harris, she gets really mad when I bring up the stolen valor of her running mate. But let me tell you why it matters. Every single person here understands why this matters. Here's the record on Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. He dropped out of the military and allowed his unit to go to Iraq without him. And he knew they were going to Iraq. He lied about it, but he knew they were going to Iraq. Even his chaplain called him a coward. And those of you who served in the military know the chaplain is the nicest person in the unit. If the chaplain is calling you a coward, you must have really screwed up. He claimed to carry a weapon in war, but you ask him, Tim, what war have you ever been in? And the answer is he's never been to a single war. He lied about it. He lied about his rank, and he stood in silence as Nancy Pelosi and a lot of journalists praised him for his service on an imaginary battlefield instead of correcting the record. What won't stolen valor Tim Walz fib about? In fact, I believe at his next speech, he's probably going to say he survived an assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. I think that's...
We'll see tonight. We will see tonight.
His next speech, he's probably going to say he survived an assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. I think that's what Tim Walz is going to claim next time. Now, look, we don't criticize, and this is where the media is dishonest here. We don't criticize Tim Walz for his years of service in the National Guard. We condemn him for lying about that service for political gain. It's disgraceful.
100%, 100%, 100%. And Donald Trump ends it with this.
That's why this November Americans are going to tell Kamala Harris, that we've had enough. We can't take it anymore. You're doing a terrible job. Comrade Harris, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. You're no good. You're fired.
Oh, man. It was a good rally. It was a good rally. Shout out to everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. JD, man. JD has been on fire. I think their entire campaign has been on fire versus forcefully on fire, like some of the stuff that we've seen out of DNC night 1, night 2. We're going to tune in for night 3 and see what kind of comes up out of that whole scenario. Drop your comments down below, smash the like button, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.